Hello everyone, welcome back to the Landedkiller show. It's pretty late at night for me when I'm recording this, but I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on the waterline video. Just go through it point by point, so let me see if I can find it here. There we go. So it looks like we're kind of dealing with a little bit of a slowdown when it comes to new lines for a little while, which is nice. But I believe what Wargaming may have planned in between now and the fall will be new collaborations to cover the meantime while they try to fund their new office, which is what they highlight in their video. That the World of Tanks team and the World of Warships team are kind of in the same office right now. Let's see here, because if we look at this little map right here, all we got is Spanish cruisers, and it's all the way into autumn when we get two new lines of Soviet battleships and Japanese battleships. Essentially what we're getting with the next update is going to be the early access for the Spanish cruiser line, which is going to have the burst fire mechanics. Then we have the Super Conqueror and Super Petropavlovsk coming into the game. Strategic operations, I think this is similar to personal challenges. It's going to be a map, and I imagine that Wargaming is going to have 3 different levels. Easy will have some premium time probably as a reward. The medium will have maybe some camos, and the hardest will definitely be a free premium ship, I imagine. It might just be the early access events. They might essentially put Cataluna over here as the hard mission reward, or they might stick it in the battle pass like they've been doing for the early access events so far. Lucian is going to be basically a nerf new Strashimi. That's going to be the reward for this dockyard. I don't really have high hopes for this ship because it doesn't really have anything that really makes it stand out. It's just like it's basically they took new Strashimi's hull and altered it a little bit. Make it look Pan-Asian-y. Honestly think it would be more interesting if they'd given this Pan-Asian destroyer the ability to launch planes like Halford. I think that would have been more interesting in my opinion. Or having some consumable that was harder against submarines. Looks like we're going to have some minefield mechanics, or the carriers that were removed like Hairu will be coming back. Taihio, I believe is the other one. A couple of American ones too will come back, and they're going to have they're going to probably test out these mechanics for a good 6 months before they actually release them in game. I don't think the testing will be as long as the testing for submarines by any stretch. I think that this should all be wrapped up by next year. By next year, when the time summer hits, it should be all wrapped up. I believe we'll get early access ships like we did last time for the submarines for a while, and then we'll eventually have them available in game. Once they test them out over a few months, it's probably going to go through different iterations like the subs did. If it takes up to 2 years, then it takes up to 2 years, but I'm predicting a year and then this is in the game. For good, or 6 months at the fastest. Minefield will be a divisive mechanic for sure, depending on how long it takes, how long it lasts, because it's going to probably destroy the ability to push in a game, which is already affected by subs. Airborne will probably not be a big issue, but the minefield mechanics definitely will be, I can see. Yep, they're doing the special temporary battle type mode again, so it's going to probably be 6 months to a year until this is in the game. We'll decide to implement these mechanics, hopefully they don't rush them. Looks like they're adding in more detail to the sound mechanics and to the inhabitants of the oceans pretty much. Recommendation for equipments are going to happen in the summer. Going to have more insignias, they're going to be more detailed. The battleships mode is going to return to World of Warships pretty much. I don't think they're going to put anything too big in there. Twitch reviewers are going to have rewards credits in game. Wargaming, when are you guys going to ditch Twitch and finally go over to Rumble or Odyssey or YouTube already? Honestly, I wish that the Twitch streams would just stop completely and that Wargaming would go on to YouTube or Odyssey at this point. Probably won't ever happen though. Twitch did a thing recently where they are making creators sign new contracts where they can't multi-stream. Instead of being able to stream to Twitch, YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, they would only limit it to Twitch only, and they're charging a $25 backout fee of any partnerships or contracts. I really don't like Twitch to begin with. That's why I never really bothered with it for my content. I always saw it as too rulesies for my liking. YouTube has some rules here and there, but they're not too hard to follow as long as you don't stray the line too much. They tend to leave you alone. If there's absolutely deal breakers, which those who've done YouTube for a while will know about, obviously. It's like these Soviet submarines are going to be the counter to the current submarines. No idea how this is going to play out yet because I've yet to see anything really come into play. The Japanese battleships, mixed feelings about these. I think they'll be somewhat decent, but hopefully they're not like the mediocre Japanese light cruiser line. At least they're getting some buffs with the next patch, I think. Autumn will see 2 new super ships, the ones I've actually been wanting to see for a while. You see, I've kind of got a soft spot for super ships lately. They're alright in my book. But the submarines, don't like those homing torpedoes still. Never play them too well either. Piemonte and Venice. Okay, I'm gonna guess that Wargaming is gonna go the lazy route and do some swapping with Napoli's model and Venezia's guns, and they're gonna play around with Napoli's model and give the Super Venezia Napoli caliber of 254s. Or they're going to be lazy and just create an up-armored Venezia with burst fire. For main, I think it's pretty much an easy route for Wargaming to use the Montana Hull easily and just give it 12 457s and call it a day. I don't think it's going to have anything special. It's basically going to continue the concept of both ships, so I imagine it's just going to be like in Ohio with 12 457s. In a sense, for main. Piemonte, like I said, probably just going to be an up-armored Venezia with burst fire mechanics. I don't know anything different because there's been no new devlogs dropped on any of these ships. This is the only mention of these 2 ships. I imagine we'll have a devlog drop within the next month or 2 on them, since we already know about the Japanese ships, but I don't really think Bongo is a name that a Japanese ship would be called. Why haven't we gotten a ship called Bonsai yet? That's what I wonder. Oh, I got anniversary rewards. I would expect probably some new camos. I don't know what the hell they're saying retro camo for. It's probably gonna be simple patterns. Airship escort's gonna be added to randoms. Oh my god. I think that it's okay, but it's definitely going to need some improvements, such as making the offensive side and the defensive side more balanced when you're playing it. New Nightmare Operation, animated commanders. Yeah, I think it's just going to be something they use to market more camos without marketing ships. I think next year we'll see a lot more lines, but they're slowing down now because they don't have anything modeled. Or they're having to repurpose old assets to create these new lines. The Spanish cruiser line may be the only one that's completely modded from scratch besides the Soviet submarine. Spanish and Soviet, those are going to be completely new models. But the Japanese battleships are probably going to be alterations of the current ships we have in game, probably just with new funnels or whatever. Oh, no unique upgrades for all these ships coming out soon. Yeah, they're already out. I've been recently testing the upgrade for Midway, and I've had mixed results with it. I don't mind it. The main thing that I'm really annoyed about is just the fact that we haven't gotten a new line that isn't completely reused models. I think that this European cruiser line is pretty good with mostly new models, but the Tier 10 is basically a copy and paste of Mogador, I think. Clever. I think it's Mogador or Clever. What the hell do you call it? Let me take a look. Okay, this is Clever. Let's take a look at the European one. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing this. I'm just saying that maybe you should give us some more gaps in releases so you can actually properly model out something different on the model. Yeah, this looks like Clever, except the guns are different. Honestly, it just... Mogador or Clever? Yep, it's Mogador. Mogador. Let's go back to France. Let's take a look at Mogador. That's the one Clemson's based off of. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, basically like a copy and paste of Mogador. Doesn't look any different. Alright. I guess we can create a new line with mostly some new ships. Reuse the model for Blizwicka, basically on Grom. What are the new ships here? Tier 5, what do we got? The Tier 5, 6, 8, and 9 are completely new models. But the Tier 10 is a copy and paste. Now, that would have made more sense to stick this at Tier 10. Just up the arm a little bit and just release this as a Tier 10. Because this is completely unique. But nope, stick the copy and paste ship at Tier 10. Jeez. I think they're just running out of models to use and blueprints to use because the game's gotten to be so old at this point. 8 years old, I think. Honestly, I've found some success in Takashi. I haven't completely given up on the Japanese light cruiser line, but they need some work. They're gonna get some nice needed love within the next patch or two, I think. So you may be wondering why I haven't done a ship review for a while, and the answers to that is pretty simple. It's just lack of time, really. It's basically having to spend one of my days off mostly resting because I'm so exhausted, and then the other day I basically pump out as much content as I can. I'm looking forward to a future where I don't have to do that all the time. That's honestly what I want, is I want to find a way to just have more days off in the week and not work so many hours. It just gets to be too much at times. And I kind of have mixed feelings about Wargaming opening up that new office. It makes more sense as to why they've been pushing monetization heavily. They deserve to have a good workspace and to have enough space to actually work. I just hope it doesn't come at the price of losing the game in the process. That's about my only gripe with that. As for what I think of the new European destroyer line, I've played up to the Stored and I found them to be pretty good up to the Stored. I haven't played the Tier 8, 9, or 10 because I don't have those. I'm not crowd-funded or a community contributor, so everything I do get in the game is out of my own pocket. So, not a lot of money to go around these days, thus I'm not getting the Nottingham or messing around with anything. The only thing I got was Dyson, and that was about it. It's the only new premium ship I've gotten in a long time. Unless it's been an early access ship like Janan or San Martin. San Martin's a really good ship. At this point, I'm kind of curious as to see what Wargame is going to do with Shill. It's basically like a tier 8 graph spay. I would have thought they would have given it a better reload than what they've given it. We'll have to see what they do in time. I think the whole way you can even play Takashi is kind of like guerrilla tactics, like you fire off a couple shots and you have to launch those torpedoes and run away. Only way I've been able to really get it to work is to play long range and run away while launching some torpedoes. Only way I've been able to find any sort of success with it. Otherwise, if you push too hard, you're gonna get citadeled, blown up. Obviously, this is more predictable since this is co-op, but I had a pretty decent random match earlier with it where I got 60,000 in damage. It's such a hard ship to get to work. At least the shells tend to be accurate. It's just that the long reload time is annoying, really. It's about the only thing, really. Like I said, you gotta kind of use guerrilla tactics. You gotta kind of launch those, fire off a couple shells, launch those torps, and run away. But the only way to get it to work successfully. I don't find the ship to be too bad, but I do think the earlier ships in the line are painful to play, to say the least. I didn't, for full disclosure, I've not played a mono, so I cannot speak to that, but the other ones I have played, they're okay. But they're just kind of hard to work. Takashi's easier because it's got faster turret traverse. The shells hit consistently, but the earlier ships in the line are just really in bad shape. Hopefully the buffs Wargaming makes will actually fix this. It looked promising, so we'll see what happens there. I still have yet to figure out what I'm going to do for my other channels in light of what's going on with certain major video game companies, but I'm going to figure that out eventually. I think my main gripe now is just trying to figure out what I can get out and what I can't get out, you know, within the time I got. Let's be honest, video production takes a while. It's far easier for me to make a bunch of AI generated art than it is to put out a full-length video like this. So that's why you'll see AI generated art on the channels. It's because it's me. I'm trying to fill in the gap till I can get out another video. It's not because I've gotten lazy or whatever, it's because I'm dealing with lack of time at the moment. So my biggest annoyance right now is lack of time to do much of anything with my channels. It's not the situation I want to be in, to be honest. If I had my way, I'd be doing this all the time and coming on and streaming much more often than what I have. The last live stream had to be like 3 weeks ago at this point, and it's really been annoying me not to be able to live stream as much as I used to. So I've got to work on a solution to this. But in the meantime, it's going to be whenever I can get out a video, I can get out a video. That's how it's going to be for a while. It's not because I enjoy doing it this way, it's because of just the time constraints. Honestly, maybe I did overexpand on the channels back in the day, but I had a lot of free time on my hands back then, so can't entirely blame myself there. And to mention, I was making a lot more moolah back in the day too. Yeah. You asked me, do I make a lot of money on these videos, and the answer is not a single red cent. Because YouTube will not pay you out till you earn your first $100, and I have not even reached that. But the good news is I've recently expanded to Rumble and Odyssey with this channel, and hopefully most of this stuff gets transferred over. But it's not due to lack of trying, if anything. If anything, I'm going to keep on trying and I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep trying to bring out content for you guys. But overall, waterline the summer waterline. Seems like we're probably going to be getting a lot of collabs to fill in that space between Spanish cruisers and Soviet subs. That's just a hunch. I don't know what kind of collabs will be showing up, but we'll see. I would imagine that a big Arpeggio Blue Steel collaboration is probably going to be in the works at some point to introduce the I-401 sub into the game. I don't think that should be a shocker to anybody, considering they were one of the first collaborations World Warships ever did. So I imagine that they'll be following up with them again, and they'll be releasing that sub that can launch planes eventually. It could be this year or the next, I don't know. I'm out of tea. Ugh. Okay. Main takeaway from this is just sometimes it's good to have some peace and quiet. But I'd imagine that auctions will be making a comeback just due to the huge gap there is between the lines. For the uninitiated, we had so many lines released at once, it was crazy. I think even the article goes over that. If we open it back up again, go into all news again, and we go to this, it provides a recap of like the last. Look at this. We had hybrid battleships, British subs, Pan-Asian cruisers, European destroyers. That's 4 things right here. 4, and for summer we're having 1, and for fall we're having 2. 1, 2. So that is 1 line less than what's already happened here. That's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. We need to have space between events. This was 3 lines, this was 3, this was 3, this was a full line, this was a full line. This is a full line, this is part of a line, this is... We have... The one thing that puzzles me is where is the 4th one? I don't see it here, but I imagine that come winter waterline or whenever the hell they put out the winter one, we're going to learn more about that. I don't think that Wargame is going to slow down beyond this. I think that we're going to have a ramp up in lines again after this. Expect winter waterline to have a bunch of lines being announced because they did 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Only doing 1, 2, 3 here, which means that the 2024 is going to be full of lines galore, I imagine. Or they're going to slow down. We'll have to see. But I want you all to let me know in the comments below what ship you would like me to review next. I've got a couple options in the queue right now. I just haven't had time to get around to them. So until next time, thank you for watching, and be sure to check out the other channels when you have the time to. Appreciate all of you. Have a great day.